Good morning, my brothers and sisters. How's everybody doing this Monday morning? Bright eyed and bushy tailed or what? Ready to hit it and get it? Man, I tell you what, it's a blessing to be here. Glad to be on this earth. Glad for another day, another chance. Um, I was gonna share something, but I was thinking this morning about the pulse of what's going on. The feeling that's in the air in our country, and I know we've all still been following this thing closely. And usually, when some tragedy like this or happens, something that affects the whole nation, all kinds of the theories start coming out, and people start pointing out, this doesn't add up, this, that, and the others, not what it should be. And you get the so-called online experts. Well, I'm an expert in this, so this here doesn't gel with my expertise related to the assassination of Charlie Kirk. But man, I was following a thread this morning, and how they were relating that Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel had orchestrated the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and maybe they did. I don't know. I mean, who knows, man? This kid was radicalized by somebody. Could have been our own government. Could have been the CIA. We don't know. But I was watching um, Benny Johnson this morning, and the FBI is investigating some leftist groups online that the assassin was a part of, and seems like they may even have had contact with him afterwards and actively supported him. So there may be more arrests coming down the line. Um, I said this the other day when I was talking about the recent Denver shooting with a 6-year-old kid, um, Desmond Holly, and how they said he was radicalized by some online group, but they would not release the name of the group. And how I'm kind of sick of that. If our children are being radicalized by some online group, why are you protecting that group? Shouldn't you tell us who they are so that we could protect our kids from them also? So it is refreshing. The FBI is releasing the names of these different groups. Um, I didn't write it down and look it up, but you guys, it's something to look into. But without further ado, we'll get in. We'll get into the. Let's see what's in the news today. Let's see what the good folks on X are saying. All right. Sin says, attended church for the first time in so long today. How did you know your church was the right fit for you? This is going to be a challenge, but I refuse to feel discouraged. I think it's good to talk about this publicly, as I'm sure so many others are feeling similar today. I've been seeing a lot of this on X in the past few days, a lot of people going back to church. The feeling is, to me, that's where I was going when I started before I went off on a tangent. The feeling has been the same that it was after 9/11, sort of. And for and I was trying to it's kind of puzzling why that it's the same feeling. I mean, 9/11 was a tragedy, it was a terrorist attack. Thousands of our fellow citizens were murdered by these terrorists. And then, in this sense, is one of our fellow citizens was murdered. So, in a way, it's kind of noble that as Americans, we can lose one of our fellow citizens and it feel the same as losing thousands. Because this was a terrorist attack, this assassination. I think I think that feeling comes from the fact that the majority of us know that this this assassination wasn't warranted. Like, he wasn't out there spewing like hatred and stuff like that. He was a non-combatant in a way. Just like the people traveling on those airplanes, the people in those buildings that fell. Without getting into all the conspiracy theories, innocent Americans did die in those tragedies. People who are just going about their lives, and so I think maybe that's where that feeling comes from. The fact that there is a radical group of young people out there, whoever radicalized them, the system, the government, foreign nation, whatever, and they're out there, and they are kind of like a terrorist cell if you think about it. They're American citizens. They're in our neighborhoods. They're in our communities. They're in our schools. They've been radicalized to the point to where they think they need to murder people for whatever reason, for whatever purpose. That's the thing I don't get about this assassination. What was the goal? What would killing this man win for their side? What would it stop? He's not a political figure. And even with the president, like the Thomas Crooks kid who tried to shoot Trump in Pennsylvania, what happened to him? We haven't heard anything about that. They swept that under the rug. I thought that would have been a pretty public thing. But even now that Trump is the president again, and people are cheering and wanting all the people saying, "I wish it would have been Trump." What if it had been? What would it have accomplished? Because J.D. Vance would have been sworn in as president. That's what I meant the other day when I was reading that list from Desmond Holly's dad when he posted it. That's what he was talking about. Like he listed out the succession of the presidency, all the people you would have to take out, and that's why he said, "Oh, this is scary. Look at all these people. We can't just take out one guy. We got to take out all these people." So that's my point. Like when you take out one person like that, when you make someone a martyr and you galvanize people, look how it's affected the country. Yes, there is a loud, tiny, small contingent of people saying hateful things, and it looks like more because the mainstream media is on their side. But they've been exposed. We know who they are. We know what's going on. But I've seen a lot of this on X lately. People going back to church. Um, some people being disappointed because when they get there, it's still just a milk toast thing. And I saw one post, and the guy was like, "I went to church. The preacher didn't mention one thing about Charlie Kirk. He didn't offer any comfort to the country, but he did ask for money." And anyway, let's see. Murray Hill guy. Met my buddy's girlfriend for the first time last night. She absolutely sucks. Mega lib, annoying, and loud as heck. Because I'm brutally honest, I told him I didn't like her. Now he's pissed at me. Do I actually need to apologize or not? Well, if he wanted your honest opinion and he's your friend, then, I'm all for brutal honesty. You know why? Because when you lie to make people feel better, then you have to continuously do that. And then when you do get fed up and finally be brutally honest, it's a shock to them and it usually ruins the friendship. So be brutally honest. And also be ready for when they are brutally honest with you. But I mean, I have friends like Tribe, Hutch, Ghost, you know. So brutal honesty, I get it all the time from my friends. Breaking. Democrats slam Elon Musk for calling the far left the party of hate and violence. Well, I mean, that's kind of academic, and you're not saying anything smart. Thought you were a genius. I Hypocrite says church was packed this morning. The pastor delivered a canned sermon that could have been written last year. My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined. You know, as a Christian, it's good to see people going back to church in these times, but I've been disappointed in the modern day church. That's why I call them church folk instead of Christians, because the modern day church is greatly apostate. And I posted a video on one of my faceless channels talking about the fall of the church. And the reason why the church has become so powerless is because they deny the very power that created the church, the power of God. The power that rose Christ from the dead is the same power that built the church. So when you go in these milquetoast churches and they have no real supernatural power to offer, the church is supposed to be operating in the same way Jesus said. Jesus said, those that follow me shall cast out demons, they shall speak with new tongues, they shall lay hands on the sick and they shall recover, and they shall do many wonderful works. The church greatly is not doing these things. We're not seeing miracles, people getting healed, not seeing demons get cast out, not seeing people speak with new tongues. All the churches are afraid of those things. And a lot of churches are afraid to admit the reason why God's not operating in there in that way anymore. You know, but I'm not going to get into that here. Maybe you guys will find my Bible study channel. Brenda Carrot, my husband died. Can I have $100,000 now, please? You know, Eric Kirk didn't ask for this money, and her husband didn't just die; it was assassinated. You know, people, man, we live in a selfish society in every way. My daughter's getting her license, and when I'm driving with her, I always tell her, always look out for the other person on the road. Don't assume that they're a good driver. Assume that they are selfish and that they are in a hurry to beat you to wherever they're going. Always drive defensively because people are selfish. I just want to say go birds, F ice, and free Palestine. Hack star Hannah Icebender. I didn't even know the Emmy was going on. I don't care about Emmys, Oscars, or any of that crap. You know, to me, it's just them patting themselves on the back, saying, look how amazing I am. I'm on TV. I'm better than everyone. My opinion matters." Whatever, girl. Lauren Gruel says, "My church didn't mention Charlie Kirk. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I'm a little disappointed, to be honest." Yeah. A lot of churches are afraid to say anything. You know, pastors are probably worried that they have liberals in their church and they don't want to offend them. You know, I'm sorry. I've reached out to a lot of these people on X um, in the past couple of days who have been going to church expecting something and not finding it there. The quartering. The place I tried today did a really nice dedicated sermon on Charlie as well as 9/11. I'm still going to try more out though and see what really fits. I think that's normal. Lots to choose from. That is the problem in the church. You go in every corner, there's another denomination. You know, that's why the church has greatly lost its power because of the division. There's no unity in the church anymore. You can go in a lot of these churches and they're preaching against the church across the street. I went to church, not a great one. They had no mention of Charlie Kirk. All they said was a quick, vague reference to Utah, which really chapped my hide. The events are what inspired me to go back to church. But at least I went, checked it out, and I just got to find a better one. Man, don't give up. Pray for these people. God lead people to you. People think the church is a building, four walls and a roof, with a preacher standing up in a pulpit. It's not what the church is. The church is the body of Christ, the body of true believers who have had that born again experience with the Holy Ghost has come inside you and recreated you a brand new spirit so that you can no longer, or so that you are no longer separated from God's presence. That was the whole reason for Christ coming to the earth, not to build a religious business. To me, I reject all modern day religions, man. Satan is in the business of religion. He really is. It's one of his favorite tools to keep us oppressed, to keep us locked away and shut away from God and each other. We shouldn't seek a religion. We should seek a relationship with the one true God. Do you support people publicly losing their jobs for celebrating Charlie Kirk getting assassinated? Absolutely. No one should have to work with someone who thinks it's okay to be murdered because of your political beliefs or religious beliefs. And the left is coming out and crying, can't cancel culture and all this crap. It's not cancel culture. They're saying that people on the right or conservatives or whatever are hypocrites because when we were getting canceled because we were saying true things like men can't get pregnant, they're saying, well, where's our free speech? You have it. The difference is your free speech reveals your corrupt, rotten character. And people don't want to work with someone, like I just said, who is okay with innocent people being murdered because of their speech. If you're okay with someone being murdered because of their speech, you shouldn't be surprised when you get fired because of yours. In case you needed a reason to unfollow me, Amy says, I am conservative. I support the Second Amendment. I'm white and proud of it. There are two genders. I don't celebrate death. God is good. I unapologetically love America. Oh man, she's an extremist. It is absolutely mind-boggling to think of how much damage Fox News has caused the country and American families. Not just Fox News, all the corporate media. All of them have completely divided us, and they're still doing it. Let's see what this young lady's talking about. She lives in Canada and complains that she can't find a job because people are too Islamophobic and don't like how she dresses. What advice would you give her? Move out of Canada for one thing. Man, what are you doing there? But I mean, I could see an employer not wanting to put her like in the front. People come in and they see that and they're like, oh man, is she a suicide bomber? But if I was an employer, I would hire her because Muslim women, I mean, they're not as what's the word? Fundamental. I mean, not fundamental. They're not as likely to strap a bomb to their chest and blow themselves up because I don't think they get the 70 virgins when they do it. I think it's just the men in their religion. I don't know, but I jest. I'll never get tired of watching Seahawks defensive backs lay out Aaron Rodgers anti-vax butt, and it's even more sweet now that he wears a Steelers jersey. I don't. You guys know me. I don't really follow sports. I don't care. To me, it's the modern day Coliseum. Bread and circuses. They got to keep you entertained while they take away your liberties. So I guess Aaron Rodgers is openly against vaccines and stuff. Who cares, man? This is old. Why are they showing this? This has been. His best moment was when he was coming out for Biden or whoever it was, and he gave that speech in front of it was during Trump's trial, and he was giving that speech, and people like New Yorkers were yelling at him and telling him to shut up. Basically, no one cares, man. You're an old has been, and you've revealed yourself. When you were a kid in school, did you have the slightest clue of your teacher's political views? I did not. I don't think I did. I mean, I probably could have guessed if I would have cared when I was a kid, but no, this wasn't about politics. I was blessed coming up in grade school in the 80s with teachers who had been teaching for 30 years, like old school teachers. And I mean, those teachers would, if you spoke one word out of line, your butt was going to the bathroom, bending over, grabbing hold of whatever you could because there's a paddle swinging at your butt cheeks. Man, them old ladies could swing a daggone paddle too. I had one teacher, she's my third grade teacher. She didn't paddle. She'd bring you up in front of the class, like right in front of her desk, bend your hand back like this, and take a ruler or a yardstick and tear your hand up. Sometimes that was worse, man. I remember one little girl, well, she was sassy. Man, that lady, her name was Miss Gavin. Well, she told her to come up. Well, she grabbed that girl's hand back, and she knew it was coming too, boy. As soon as she grabbed her hand, she said, "No, no, 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 no." Well, she was going every which way trying to get loose. Her hand didn't move. Miss Gavin had a death grip on it. Tore her butt up with that ruler, man. I tell you what, and when that happened to one student in front of the whole class, the rest of the class was perfect angels for the rest of the week. Nobody wanted that. We don't have that anymore in the schools. Instead, we have teachers with 80 piercings in their face and 4 or 5 different colors in their hair, telling kids that it's okay if you should want to chop off your pee. Don't worry, we won't tell your mom and dad about it. I'll help you. Jesus help us. This is what the whataboutisms that I'm getting tired of. Democratic Governor Josh Shapiro had his home set ablaze while he and his family were inside sleeping this year. So they keep trying to compare people to Charlie Kirk and what Charlie Kirk did. I had never heard Josh Shapiro's name before this happened to him. You guys remember this? Somebody set his house on fire. Turns out it was a BLM activist dude. Again, someone on the left. They keep bringing this stuff up, but all they do is reveal that, yeah, we agree with you. There's too much extremism on your side, man. It's like I said the other day, if Democrats quit killing people, we wouldn't hardly have any gun violence. While we are having much needed conversations about evils of political violence, I would like to remember my dear friend Lori Carlton, who was murdered 2 years ago by a gunman for simply displaying a pride flag in front of her Lake Arrowhead store. I don't know what this is talking about. I've never heard this before. See, people keep bringing up this stuff. If this happened to this lady, I'm sorry to hear that. I really am. There's a lot of crazy, hateful people. I said this from the beginning. There's extremists on the right, too. It's just for every one extremist on the right, there's like 10,000 on the left. You can't compare the two. You just can't. I mean, when George Floyd, a drug addict who overdosed in police custody, died, they burned down cities, man. They killed people. There was a week where 48 of our largest cities in this country were burning at the same time. When Charlie Kirk, when we heard what happened to Charlie, people people were coming together to have moments of silence and prayer in different cities, man. You can't compare the two. You really can't. Let's be honest. While in Arizona, one of our amazing elderly MAGA sisters invited me over for dinner. She apologized that her house was hot and her air conditioner, swamp cooler, wasn't working properly. I grabbed her ladder and had it working in 20 minutes. Her gay liberal son moved in 3 months earlier and never bothered to check it. But he makes her cry twice a month lecturing her about Palestine. He knows who I am and won't leave his room. Should I say something or hold my tongue? You should talk to him. You really should. In honor of Charlie, just be courteous, be respectful, and have a conversation with the guy. Bring the facts, though. Arresting people for disgusting speech. What happened to the First Amendment? Nothing. She's not being arrested for speech. This lady right here assaulted someone on her college campus who was holding up a sign, saying "R.I.P. Charlie Kirk." As she went up to him, accosted him, and he was like, "Ma'am, I'm not," you know. And then she assaulted him, ripped the sign out of his hand. That's why she was arrested. That's not speech. That's the thing with the left. They've shifted. They've shifted to the point to where they say our speech is violence. If we disagree with them, it's because we're violent and want them killed, so that they are justified when they turn around and use violence against us. Anyway, a lot going on in the world. Um, I'm telling you, man, you get a good mix on X. We could scroll here all day and look at all the crazies and stuff. But hope you guys have a great week. Hope you have a great Monday. As always, I look forward to reading your comments and see what you guys are saying. You guys always point me in right directions. Someone and a couple of days ago pointed me to something called gang stalking, and I've been looking into it. It's freaking crazy, but more on that later. Hope you guys have a good day. Peace. I'm out.